The Raiden Shogun is the Electro, Archon, and Zumina, and she's an amazing unit for pretty much any team. Hey guys, my name is Blossoms, and today we're going to be going over a build for the Raiden Shogun. And now, of course, I don't have all of the mats that I wanted to farm out for, as we've only had her for a couple weeks and the new weekly boss for a couple weeks, so we haven't been able to get her talents super high yet. But rest assured, I am definitely going to be getting her to those levels because she's an amazing unit and can fit on a ton of teams. And we'll get into that in just a second. But before we do, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more Raiden Shogun content. And it's a simple one click, and I really appreciate the support on the channel. But without further ado, let's go ahead and show her off. So what is the Raiden Shogun good at? Well, she's an elemental burst machine. Her E skill not only increases the damage of your allies' elemental burst, but it also supplements their damage by dealing some electro damage whenever they deal damage. And this lasts for 25 whole seconds and only has a cooldown of 10 seconds, which means you can keep it up indefinitely, and its damage is nothing to scoff at. Not to mention that while it's up, your elemental bursts are going to be dealing more damage based off of their cost. So essentially, Xiangling's 80 cost burst will be getting a higher damage modifier than somebody like Bennett's 60 cost burst. And that's really important because of the fact that not only are your elemental bursts for the rest of your team going to be dealing with more damage, but they're also going to be increasing the damage of her elemental burst, the Musoshin Setsu. And essentially, whenever your allies cast their elemental burst, or with this passive they gain elemental orbs or particles, it is going to be adding stacks to the Chakra Desiderata here. And that has a maximum of 60 there. And when you cast her burst, it's going to consume those stacks, and her elemental burst is going to be dealing more damage. And this Musoshin Setsu does a bunch on its base damage. At 600% is nothing to scoff at. It only gets bigger as you go up. 641 at level 8. That's a really big jump. And then you also pull out the Booba Sword, and your normal attacks are increased based on that Chakra Desiderata as well. And they're nothing to scoff at either. They deal really solid damage, and they also regenerate energy for your team, so they're going to be getting their elemental bursts back. She basically not only buffs all of your elemental bursts, she gives them back too. And even though she has a cost of 90, that's not going to matter because, as you're going to see, she's gonna want a lot of energy recharge. And that is mostly due to her other passive here, the Enlightened one. Each 1% above 100% energy recharge that the Raiden Shogun possesses grants her 0.6 greater energy restoration, and from Muso Ishin, which is her elemental burst, by the way. So when she's doing, when she has the Booba Sword out, she's going to be gaining a better energy restoration there. But she's also going to be gaining 0.4% electro damage bonus based off of her energy recharge, which basically means you're not going to need an electro goblet. And it's really darn strong. So when we talk about her build, yeah, I spoiled it a little bit. You're not going to need an electro goblet. You're gonna go energy recharge, attack percent, and heart rate or crit damage, whatever is going to suit your substats. And there is no question about her set bonus. 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate is going to be the best in slot, hands down. It's basically made for her. Because of the fact that her elemental burst, even the normal attacks with her sword, are going to count as elemental burst damage. So increasing that elemental burst damage as much as humanly possible is going to be very important. And of course, the more energy recharge you have, the better your electro damage percent is going to be. And just to kind of show you guys you don't need an electro goblet, check out how much I already have. Electro damage bonus is 65.7%. And honestly, my energy recharge isn't even that super high on my Raiden Shogun. I've been seeing a lot of people with over 300%, and that's where you're gonna want to be aiming, of course. But the 4-piece Emblem Severed Fate here is without a doubt the best one. You could force some other sets, like maybe a 4-piece Thunder Soother, but it's really not going to be worth it, and you're just going to be dealing less damage than something like the 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate, as well as not helping your team out as much as you would be if you didn't have the 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate. So essentially, this is hands down the best four, and your main stats are going to be energy recharge, attack percent, crit rate, or crit damage, whatever is going to give you that best ratio. And the subsets you're going to be looking for are, of course, your best friends of crit rate and crit damage, but then you're also really going to care about energy recharge. My energy recharge subsets here are pretty lacking, and that's unfortunate for me, but I'm still have a good enough build. But beyond that, attack percent is also going to be really nice, but I also want you guys to not sleep on elemental mastery because of the short delay she has in her E skill when it deals electro damage. She is almost certainly going to be the one proccing the reaction. So elemental mastery isn't the worst on here. Of course, that's not what you're going to want to be shooting for, but if you get it, I wouldn't be worried too much about it. Just kind of like how I've been. I happen to have a bunch of elemental mastery on her, and it's been pretty nice because of the fact that she is likely going to be the one proccing the reaction. Now for weapons, if you're free to play and you don't have a 5-star spear, there is going to be no contest, at least in terms of damage, when it comes to the brand new polearm, the Catch. I only have mine at refinement rank 2, but this has a very high energy recharge modifier, and then not only that, it increases your elemental burst damage by a certain percent based off of your refinement rank, and the crit rate of your elemental burst by a certain percent based off of its refinement rank. Now, if you just can't get the Catch, or you're having a really hard time fishing out all of those fishies, because it is a ton, and you just want to play your Raiden Shogun now, the Favonius Lance is actually a pretty solid option. It is not going to be as good as the Catch. Let me say that first and foremost. It is not going to be as good as the Catch. Neither is pretty much any other weapon here, but this is a close second because it does have an energy recharge substat, has a relatively high base attack, and then these neutral particles you generate are just going to be really nice for the team. You will have all of your elemental burst off cooldown without a doubt because these elemental particles are neutral. But yes, the Catch, if you're free to play, is going to be the best. Of course, if you have the Grass Cutter, that is going to be her best in slot weapon. Of course, other 5-star spears are going to be good options as well, but I'm almost positive I have seen some stuff, people talking about how the Catch at refinement 5 is even better than something like the Skyward Spine. So this does beat out a bunch of the 5-stars as well. So this is just overall going to be one of your best options, unless you have something like the Grass Cutter. When it comes to Constellations on the Raiden Shogun, they're pretty darn good, but you don't need them for her to be a great unit. They do definitely augment her damage and allow her to absolutely pop off. So if you have one or two, then don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help you, and it's not really going to change your build at all. Just so you guys know that. Now, as a brief overview of my Raiden Shogun, I do have her at level 77. Her attack is only 1426. I do want to get that up as I get the Catch to level 90, as well as augment my subsets a little bit better. But just to show you guys my stats, I do have that 1400 attack. I have 58% crit rate, 111% crit damage. So nothing too crazy here. This is very modest crit rate and crit damage. And her energy recharge is only 264%, which I know is a lot compared to other units. But with her, aiming for 300% is going to be what you're going to want to shoot for. And then, of course, because of her energy recharge, I have 65.7% electro damage, which is very, very nice. So yeah, as I'm showing here, this is a pretty early ball build. This is nothing insane, but her damage is still really good, and we're going to show that off, so don't you worry. And then just to show you guys my talent levels, I have 3, 6, and 7. Her elemental burst is definitely going to be the most important skill you're going to level up, and followed by her elemental skill. And then you really don't need to level up her normal attack at all. You can honestly leave it at level 1 if you don't plan to be normal attacking with her. I just kind of like to get my character's normal attacks up, but this isn't really important to her or her damage at all. Just her elemental burst and her elemental skill, because her elemental bursts does replace her normal attack there, so you don't have to worry about that at all. When it comes to team comps for the Raiden Shogun, you can kind of do whatever you want because of the fact that her whole kit is based off of buffing elemental bursts, and then those elemental bursts buffing hers, and her restoring energy to the team. Basically means you can kind of fit her in any team, but she does struggle with some, and we'll talk about those first real quick. So essentially, she's not very good with cryo DPS characters, because then you're going to have a superconduct happen, and if you're not going for physical damage, superconduct is just not a good reaction. And then there's also somebody like Beto, who she just doesn't work with in general. Beto's Q does not work while you know, the Raiden Shogun is in her Q, which has been a big controversy and is a little annoying, but it's really not that big of a deal in my opinion. Yes, I wish it did work, but it's really kind of whatever. She does pair with a bunch of other characters. One of my kind of favorite teams have been these three: Eula, Raiden Shogun, and Xingqiu, and then you can just kind of put whoever you want in the 4th slot. because of the fact that you're going to be getting your superconduct whenever you want, and then you're going to be getting electro charge as well as shatter going on all of you want. With Eula is very fun in the Raiden Shogun, and also keeping their elemental burst off of cooldown is very nice. She also pairs really well with somebody like Child and Xing Shou. That's very fun. And not to mention, this is probably one of my favorite teams right here is when I include like Child, her, and Kazuha, because you can buff both Electro and Hydro with Kazuha, and you know, these two are just going to be going off on Electro Charge, and it's very, very fun. But yeah, essentially you can pair her with anybody, so don't really worry. And just to showcase her off a little bit, we're going to be going into Spiral Abyss here and just wiping out this floor real quick so you guys have an idea of how strong she can be. Go ahead and get a Bennett Q, get her Q. You see we deal about 46,000 damage there, and yeah, she's pretty strong. That was without getting her you know, her stacks built for her. So you can imagine once you get those stacks, the damage does definitely increase there, and she becomes no joke. And you see she's augmenting Eula here very nicely. We're getting superconduct whenever we want, which is really sick. And you see her elemental burst is basically back already, and I haven't even been, you know, doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, like casting burst just to make her burst deal some more damage. You see 74,000 damage there that time because we had some stacks of the Chakra Desiderata there, and you can see that can scale pretty darn hard. It's really, really strong. So you saw there, yeah, basically you can get her Q doing some obscene damage if you just focus on getting those stacks going, because you saw we went from like 40k to 70k, nearly a double an increase there. And you can really start to get that going if you just, you know, of course, get the stacks going and pair her with the right teammates. High energy cost bursts are going to be really nice. But that's pretty much going to be it for the build. I hope you guys enjoyed and it was informative and is helping you build your Raiden Shoguns. But other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. My name's Blossoms, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.